Hey guys, it's Chris, and welcome to the Toned and Toneful video podcast, episode number 37. Commitment is what turns a promise into reality. So in this week's episode, I wanted to talk to you guys about why commitment is the most important factor when we make promises. A lot of the times in our lives, it's easy to commit to something or to promise someone something and realize that commitment in the background is much harder than just being inspired or feeling like something would be fun. And so I wanted to talk to you about all the factors that might go into that and why that is so important in our everyday life, because if we can't conquer the idea of commitment and conquer the idea of when things get hard, it's not always fun to be in a commitment. A lot of the things that we promise to do and a lot of the things that we plan to do usually fall through. So from the smallest factor of, hey, I'm going to meet my friends somewhere, all the way to the biggest one like marriage, commitment is such an important factor. And as you guys know, that commitment is kind of like falls under an umbrella of things. So I wanted to start off talking about what commitment is and then some examples of why commitment is so important when we make a promise. So commitment is like the overall theme of this behind the word promise. When we promise someone something, that's our word. And a lot of the times, a lot of us have been told in our lives, and I hope you've been told, that the person who keeps their word, you're known by how much you keep your word. You're known by how much you actually stick behind the things you say you're going to do and do. And the more that you vary from that, you become a kind of a person that people might see as inconsistent. People might not see as truthful. And worst of all, people might see you as a liar. And those are none of the things that you want to be. You want to be the kind of person that says, hey, I'm going to be there on Thursday. You're going to be there on Thursday. You're the kind of person who says, at the altar, I'm promising you my life. You know, you want to be the kind of person who's not being a person who would commit infidelity, or the kind of person who would be emotionally cheating or looking at people, of the opposite sex on Instagram, or looking at other lovers, so get my point. You want to be the kind of person who, if they say their album's coming out April 19th, on April 19th, are you releasing? These are just like small little questions, but they're also the most important factor in our life, because if we can't actually keep what we say, what does anything else really mean? And so this is one of the things that I've always taken a lot of thought into, and I've struggled with in the past, because it's easy to make a promise on a whim. And it's easy to make a date for something on a whim because you're inspired, because you're feeling good, because it seems nice. But I want to talk to you about the commitment that goes behind this. So let's start there. Commitment is a very, very hard thing to completely do, because there's several factors that fall under being committed. Number one, commitment itself requires consistency. And a lot of us lack this. Do you wake up at the same time every day? Do you have certain habits that are scheduled that no matter what, no matter how routine and boring they seem, that you keep up with them? If you can't keep up with things like that, or if you can't build a routine, consistency is going to be really hard. And I recommend that you build a schedule, or I recommend that you build some habits that you do no matter what. Whether it's waking up in the morning and journaling every day, whether it's waking up in the morning and deciding to do a workout, or whether it's waking up in the morning and having a certain routine that you follow every morning, almost to the T, almost to the dot, so that your time is useful and that you understand the power of consistency. Because consistency is one of those things that once you really get it all locked in, you're able to make the most of things. And it allows you to see that veering off the path isn't good. That's why you want to be consistent. Another thing about commitment, it requires emotional stability. Emotional stability is very hard in any human being. We are emotional beings. And so for us to really stabilize down on what we're feeling and to go, you know what, no matter what, I'm going to do that thing. Even if I'm feeling bad today about my guitar playing, I'm still going to try to track something. I'm still going to try to get something done. Even if I'm feeling, bad about how the day is going, I'm still going to take the emotional stable route and try my best to make it a good day. It doesn't matter if you ran every red light on the way to work. It doesn't matter if, you wake up to a bunch of, bad comments on your Instagram. It doesn't matter if you walk downstairs and find a mess where you clean something up. Maybe the night before you cleaned your kitchen and then somehow your roommates, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your children, no matter who it is, has now ruined the clean kitchen that you have. You've got to be able to maintain the mental stability to do what you need to do so then that way you can move forward. Without emotional stability, you won't be able to achieve consistency. So your emotional stability and perspective on that is really important. And that was the next thing I wanted to bring up was outside perspective. Are you able to look at yourself from a third person? Like, can you mentally be somewhere and see that no matter what's going on in this world, that you're not the only person, that you can see outside yourself and see that your actions affect what's going on around you and they affect you. If you're really mean to somebody and you think that you're just going to do that because they did something to you, believe me, that never settles well within your own self later. Whether it's you feel regretful of it later or whether you feel that, dang, like, why did I do that? Like, that didn't even help the situation. Now you have another person maybe mad at you. So the cycle of them being mad and the cycle of them trying to do things to harm you keeps accelerating. It keeps rising. You don't want that. And that's why consistency in itself and commitment are so hard because they keep leveling down to other micro levels. And another thing to keep in mind that when we make a commitment is that, are you doing it just because it sounds good? I know a lot of people say, hey, I can't wait to hang out. And then someone's like, oh, well, I'm free Thursday. And a lot of people will commit to a hangout. Yeah, man, I'll see you there. A commitment is a promise. When you make that date, you better be there. Even if you're the one who's standing outside by yourself and the other person doesn't show up, be the person who shows up. Because that is going to say a lot more about you than it says about them. Because if you can show up and you can be there and you can make the time to get everything pulled together, you're going to be the kind of person who, at least at the very minimum, has that going for you. Think in your mind, well, if I were to be the kind of person who wants to love another person right, what is the first most important thing you can do? It's not giving gifts. It's not giving them fake compliments. It's not building a aura of good energy to them for no reason. The best thing you can do is keep your word. If you tell your boss you're going to have a paper on their desk at 8, just have the paper on their desk at 8. You don't need to be exceptionally happy about it or sad about it, but keeping a commitment is something that builds self-discipline within the self, and it builds consistency within yourself, and it helps you with that perspective of emotional stability. So doing things on a whim might sound good. Hey man, so what's going on this weekend? Oh dude, I got nothing much going on. Dude, did you want to play guitar this weekend? It'd be sick to jam. I know we've been talking about jamming a lot. Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. And then no one hears from each other. No one actually has each other's phone number to complete this conversation. What are you even talking about? Is that conversation a straight lie? Seriously, is that conversation a straight lie? You might need to think about how many conversations you're having like that. You might think that you're helping somebody by making them feel good by saying, hey, I would hang out with them, and then you're not. Or even worse, you might be the kind of person who's making a commitment to hang out with somebody and truthfully, you don't even remember it. You're just talking. How could you ever be someone that someone could value if you can't keep your word? Just think about that for a second. How many promises have you broken? And we're all guilty of this. This isn't something that I'm I'm George Washington and I told everyone I chopped down the cherry tree. It's not that. How honest are you being? It starts with yourself. If you can't even remember the commitments that you're making, you're already lying to yourself. Why in the world are you talking? What do you hope to benefit from by telling someone you'll be somewhere and you're not there? Why in the world are you making schedules and then none of you hit each other up. If that's the case, you're not really friends. If that's the case, you don't have much going for you guys. If that's the case, you guys both don't respect each other. Think about that for a second. Who makes a fake promise? It's no different than a person who is working on music and says, hey, I'll send you a track on this day, and they can't get it done. Have you at least hit the person up and said, hey, like, I'm having a little bit of trouble, or hey, this is going on. Just know I'm still thinking of you. I got this in the works. It didn't finish when I expected it, but you're keeping a promise to that person by actually being a consistent communicator. Or do you just leave them hanging and never hit them up? I'm very guilty of having done things like this. And it's not because I don't want the result from what I'm doing. It's because of insecurity. It's because of, things aren't done in time. I work a really busy job, but can you tell someone that, hey, I've been busy. I'm working on this and I do want to send this to you. So now you can see why commitment is so important, because commitment has commitment. Then we have consistency. Then we have emotional stability. And then we have the thinking about what we're promising. It'd be better to promise very little things and actually do those very few things and feel successful and feel close to the few people that you promise things to than consistently telling people, yeah, this, yeah, that, yeah, this. You're just a yes person, and no one likes that kind of person in the end. No one takes you serious. They just see that person, they see you as that person who's smiling in their face, and later they're like, what does that even mean? Don't be that. Success comes from actually locking down on the few things that you want to do and riding that to the end. And I want to talk about a couple of situations that this might arise in. If you make a commitment to meet up with a friend, hit them up the night before. Hit them up and ask them, hey, are we going to meet up tomorrow, or how is the day looking for you? You're giving the opportunity for conversation, and if the person made a commitment that they can't keep, or hey, they can take a rain check, you can still actually keep that commitment. It might not be the exact same plan that you started as, but you can modulate that commitment so that it works for both of you guys, and it's still a commitment then. Because if you hit them up and you go, hey, how's tomorrow looking? And they go, you know what? Tomorrow's actually looking really bad. I'm so sorry. I didn't remember that I have, this going on, or, I realized that they called me in for work and I had to go to work because I need to make money, or I need to do this. You can't blame a person for that. If they give you a rain check date, cool. If they flake on you and they never make the date again, you know what time it is. It's time for you to make a commitment to someone else and not worry about making commitments with that person anymore, at least for the time being, until they can show they can change. It's not about being unforgiving, but it's about knowing where to put your energy. This allows you to be better with your emotional stability and better with your choice of words with people. Next situation. If you're working in a group of people and you make a commitment to practice music, and you are going to be the lead guitar player on this song, and everyone's depending on you to have a solo that's put together, and everyone's depending on you to have parts put together, when you show up and you're not ready, do you know how that makes everyone else look? It makes everyone else look like they trusted in someone who can't prepare. It makes everyone realize that your word doesn't really mean anything. And while that might be understandable, sometimes I'm busy, this is going on, or I've had a real hard time, did you take the moment to go, hey, this is a long-term project, and 3 weeks before, did you send out what you could do? And you go, hey, I've been working on this solo. I'm not the most confident about it. What do you guys think of this? And you play something, over a recording, or you send it to people and get a little bit of feedback. And then they go, you know what, this is terrible. Could you do this and this and this? Or that's pretty good here, and over here it seems like we're kind of like losing direction in what we're doing. We could fix this time, this measure through this measure. If you get back to that point where you're looking at music like that and your commitment like that, now you're not unconfident. Now you're able to go back and work on something, and you don't have to lose your commitment. You don't have to show up on the day of the show and look like you don't know what you're talking about. Because trust me, that's not going to do you any good. That's not going to look good. That's not going to be the move. It really isn't. And you're not going to be happy with how that turns out when you discover everyone is smiling in your face and later you hear all the bad comments about your playing, or you hear all the bad comments about what you did. You're not going to want that. Ben and I had to do a playthrough of one of his songs that's going to come out soon. And when we did it, I had a promise to myself that I was going to learn his song. And a lot of times when I'm learning someone else's music, I have fun with it, but mentally I love playing my own music. And it's easy for me to kind of, as soon as I make that commitment, kind of start getting lost in my own world and finding every little thing that distracts me. You need to work on those distractions. And that's what I did. I pulled out a certain guitar, I set it up for his song, and I worked on it. And if I wanted to play other music, I made sure I worked on his song for an hour. I worked on what I wanted to work on for a little bit, and then I worked on his song for an hour again. And to the point that I was able to get a very technical song down in 3 weeks. And it's very technical, and I needed to play it correctly. There was no ands, ifs, or buts. This was a live playthrough. You have to nail it. Being able to keep my promise to Ben was the most important part of it. It wasn't about the glory of learning the song. It wasn't about the glory of being in a music video. None of that. It's about keeping my commitment to someone who I made a promise to. Like, I'll be there for you and I'll play for you. And that is the most important thing we can do, our word. And that made Ben feel great. He's like, dude, this guy has the song down. He can play. Like, if I ask him to fix one little thing, he can do it. It's not a big deal. We can work on the parts. That made me very happy to be that for him and see his confidence rise as a player from that. So distractions are a thing. Because not only do now we have, I made this promise on a whim. Not only do we have our consistency and emotional stability, we also have distractions. If you're really saying you're going to be committed to something, life is going to test you in a way. It's going to test you. It's going to put little funny, little weird things in the way, and you got to make your way around them. Whether that's choosing to just avoid them altogether, or whether that's to face them head on and go, you know what? I know I have a problem with this. I'm going to work on it. And making a scheduled plan. And I'm going to carry that idea into the next thing I'm going to talk about. Say you marry somebody or you're in a relationship with somebody and you become exclusive. If you're in an exclusive relationship and you're looking at other people, if you're a guy and you're swiping through Instagram and you're like, wow, look at this girl, she's a babe, and sending pictures to your boys of the girls who you think are hot in bathing suits, you're a cheater. Straight up, you're a cheater. If you're watching pornography while you're talking to your girl, you're a cheater. I don't care if you are not being provided with what you think you need, or I don't care what you're looking for in life. When you've made that single decision to be with somebody, you need to be doing that. If you're a girl and you have a commitment to your man and you go and talk to other guys at work and flirt, you're a cheater. If you're spending time with other men and you're alone with them and you ponder thoughts of like, or you say bad things about your significant other, like, he's not cool like you are, like, even if it's just to be nice, you're a cheater. Commitment comes from the choice to make that person important. No different than with Ben and I. If I told Ben I was going to do something, I put him first. And I rode that commitment all the way to the end until I needed to make sure it was perfect. And that is no different than being in a relationship. You guys are together and you say you're together. And whether guy and gal, gal and gal, guy and guy, it doesn't matter the variation of relationship. If you talk down about your significant other, if you're looking at others going on the IG and being like, oh, this person's hot, dang, I wish my person was like that. I wish my person was more this or that. And I've even had people say things to me about their significant other, that they're not cool in this way or they're not cool in that way. I don't need to know that. And they would give me a put up like, oh, you're so good at working out, Chris. My significant other, doesn't really work out. I don't want to hear that. If you tell me, hey, Chris, you're in really good shape, that's fine. That's understandable. Like, I'm in good shape, cool. Like, you get it, you understand. You can see that I made a commitment to myself, a promise to myself to be in shape, and I did it. But if you're the kind of person who's walking around and you're talking to other people and putting them up while putting your significant other down, you're a cheater. Because your mindset is that of a person who's looking for the approval of those around you and breaking the commitment that you make to the other. If you have something to take up with your partner, you talk to your partner about it. If you have something to talk to someone about that you very much care about, you talk to them about it. Do not bring up your personal problems you have with someone else or with your significant other to other people. I'm going to repeat that again. Do not bring up the problems that you have with your significant other to other people. That is not proper. That doesn't look good. And at the very minimum, the kind of person that you're going to find is a person, like if you compliment another person, all you're doing is opening up the door to an affair, opening the door up to emotional cheating. And how in the world are you supposed to keep a commitment and emotional stability if you're the kind of person who is using your speech to put someone down that you care about? If you're using your time and your energy and your emotions towards negative. And then when you come back home to your person, you're like, dang, like so-and-so at work is so much cooler than so-and-so. Or this like rock star that I have a celebrity crush. I hate celebrity crushes. I wish people would cut it out with that stuff. Sorry, I'm a side note, but I hate that. I have a celebrity crush. Get out of here. Get out of here. How about you admire someone who isn't real life? What are we even talking about? Seriously, how in the world do you think you're going to have a real commitment when your eyes are wandering around everywhere all the time? I've met many people in relationships who say weird things. I listen to them all the time. And the relationship I'm looking for is two people who are committed to each other, literally. Not in this modern day and age where I'm allowed to have look at celebrities on TV and they're cool and I'm going to tell you that they're hot and I tell you all about it. If you feel an attraction, that's understandable. Like, wow, like that person over there, but just let your mind go at that. You shouldn't be fathoming that. You shouldn't even be allowing that to breed and bloom in your life. Like, wow, that guy is in really good shape. Wow. And you should encourage your person to get in shape then. If you're a guy and you see a girl who has really nice long hair and your girl doesn't have long hair maybe at the time, maybe you could talk about how nice she would look with long hair instead of tripping on the other girl who does have the hair you think is nice or the body you think is nice. Are you inspiring your person? Are you keeping your head in the right space? See, this is why promises are hard. And a lot of people want to make promises and they want the credit for keeping them. This is the part that's crazy. They want to make a promise, they want the credit from keeping it, but then they don't do it. What does that even mean? And then they give you excuses about why they didn't keep it and why it's okay that they changed their mind and did whatever they wanted. If you want to change your mind, that's one thing. But that needs to be a literal conversation. That needs to be like, hey, babe, you know what? The way that things are working right now, I'm feeling this inconsistency from you. Am I off on that? I want us to be closer. Hey, babe, I've noticed that you've been on Instagram all the time looking at other people, and I thought our relationship was between us, and you're getting DMs and you're talking to other people. I don't even think that if you have a significant other, you shouldn't be texting other people. Seriously, unless it's a business need. If you meet up with a friend, it should be around people. Or if not, it should be a trustworthy friend who never puts you in the situation that something funky is going to happen. I know I sound kind of almost dogmatic about this, but it's because I realize the value of what keeping a promise is in a relationship. And that relationship could go to fans. If you as a musician, you tell people your record's coming out on a certain day and you can't get it done, you should express as soon as you know, hey guys, there's complications due to these kind of problems. The record's being postponed for another month. But in the meantime, here's some entertainment value for you guys that I'm going to provide to keep you guys going in the meantime. Or if you're going to be not able to meet up with that friend, hey, calling them the night before or texting them the night before. Hey, like, looks like tomorrow's a little bit busier than I thought, dude. I thought I would be able to squeeze out of work early and then we could go do that lunch I was talking about. My boss actually just scheduled a meeting in the middle of what would be our lunchtime. Is it cool if we like try to meet up another day? Is it cool if we try to meet up on this day and give them a day? Make another commitment and make a better one and make it from your judgment that you know now because you're emotionally stable, you're being consistent, and you realize, oh, if I'm consistent this many days in a row, I'll get this done. So the grand scheme of this video is to talk about why commitment makes promises a reality. If you want to live up what your promise is and enjoy the benefit of being the kind of person who keeps their word, well, you're not going to get there if the way that you keep your word is by being literally uncommitted. Think about what it is in your life that you're making commitments to and keep them and learn how to make them better. And if you have too many going on, learn how to break some of them down to the point where it's the ones that you will keep and the ones you want to keep. Because this is what leads to emotional success. This is what leads to life success. And this is what's going to lead to you being a higher person spiritually and a higher person in your being. So that is something to think about over this next week. Because in the previous weeks, we talked about being what we're thankful for and why it's important to be thankful and why it's important to say thank you. And as we migrate into this idea of what commitment is, being appreciative of people is great. But how can you be appreciative of a person if they don't keep their promise? If they don't stay in a level that is thankful? These are things to be thinking about as you work through your everyday. Oh man, I told so-and-so I would do this yesterday. Then do it. If you told someone you'd bake a cake, bake it. If you told someone that you would be there with this guitar to let them try it out, be there with that guitar to let them try it out. Don't be the kind of person who changes their mind all the time unless you're communicating with them. Why? And then modulating your commitment and modulating your promise. Because a promise is like a contract, verbally. And what sucks about it is no one's going to call you out on it. A lot of the times, everyone's just going to let everyone get away with the things that they're doing inconsistently. But remember, when you wonder why something's not working out in your life and you want the benefits of the promises that you've made, well, I told them I'd do this and I don't know why they're acting like that because you don't keep your word. They're acting like that because you don't keep your consistency. They're acting like that because you're not emotionally stable. They're acting like that because you make promises on a whim and you don't know how to keep them. You're just living off in la la land like everything's okay all the time. What you say, people remember. So I know I might sound serious in this video, but guys, it is important that we keep our energy in the right places, that we are truly staying toned and toneful, and that we are truly giving our best to the world because we are special. We are all unique. Our communication is unique. And if you want to quiet the bad voices in your head, you want to be more thankful, you want people to say thank you to you more, you want to be the kind of person who can use consistency as a skill and have commitment as a part of your life. And when you make promises, everyone can bet on you and they trust you and they ask you for favors and they believe in you. Keep your word. Otherwise, it all means nothing. So I just wanted to say thank you to you guys for enjoying episode number 37 of the Toned and Toneful for me. Commitment is what makes a promise a reality. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. And I hope that you all, please, I hope that you all really, really think about what's going on in your life and apply this message. Because if you can apply this message, you will watch the fruits of your promises grow. You'll watch the fruits of your words grow. And there's nothing more beautiful and more promising than that. And so I want to say thank you to you guys and please have a great week. And above all else, stay toned and toneful.